Well, hello fellow campers and canoe trippers. What I'm going to do today is show you my accumulation of stove kits that came with some kind of cook gear. Alright? Now I say accumulation and not collection because I never went out to really collect all these stoves. Just through the years I picked up a stove here and a stove there, and this is what I ended up with. So let's start down at the very end, and I'll show you what we've got here. Okay, first off is this Coleman twister, and it runs with a peak stove, like you see here. It has a built-in windscreen, and it comes with a pot. Okay. Now, the reason that I never used this for any camping was that the stove was actually kind of heavy, and I didn't like the fry pan cover that came with it. It just never seemed to really be useful for the sort of cooking I do. And it came with another pot, which is kind of heavy. And for the kind of canoeing I do, I want to have everything as light as possible. So that's how it fits right in there with the windscreen. Okay. Next down the line, I have this Trangia copy. I didn't want to spend all the money to get a real Trangia, so I bought this one. Now, the problem for me with these kind of stoves is that they have a long learning curve. If you probably grew up with one of these, you would understand how much alcohol you have to put in there to cook each meal. But never having used one and trying it out, I discovered that you really have to know what you're doing. You have to do a lot of fiddling around about how much alcohol you put in to cook a meal. Okay? I never used this on a canoe trip, but I have used it in drive-in camps, and I would put in a can of stew and heat it up in that. And I even have cooked a cob of corn in the bigger one out on canoe trips, and it worked pretty well. And of course the other problem is the lid that uses a fry pan. It just was not all that good. Now here's a really nice kit. This is a Primus. You hear it roaring away. It's the Primus that has the roaring burner. You can see it working away. The stove on the inside is the 71 model. It has a larger tank, and I have used this in the winter. And I take along this little pump in order to get it primed up during the winter. It's a really nice kit. I really like it, but for the kind of camping I do out on canoe trips, it's just not very practical. One of the big drawbacks, of course, is the really small fry pan. Now, I do a lot of bannock and cook a lot of eggs, and this is just too small for the kind of cooking I do. But I have made a bannock in this at least once, just to try it, and it did work. Okay, moving on down. Okay. This big guy is another Primus stove, and it's running off of a gas cartridge, and it runs really hot. It does a great job. Comes with a nice fry pan, but the kit only had one pot in it, and I need more than one pot for the kind of cooking I do. So it really never got used very much. Okay? And then moving along, this is a really nice kit. This is a Trangia, and it's their storm cooker, and it comes with an alcohol burner. But because of the kind of cooking I do and the kind of gas cartridges that I have, I got a burner. Now let's run around and take another closer look at this. This is a super kit, but it's just too heavy for me. Plus it came with a teapot, and I never use a teapot. I just boil water in one of my containers. And the pots are that aluminum on the outside, stainless steel on the inside model. And they're really heavy. Came with a strainer and of course a lid that uses a fry pan. But the lid is non-stick, and I found that non-stick is really kind of difficult to cook with on a camping trip. Moving on. This is a Sigg Tourister. Really nice kit. Now I didn't light the stove because you can hear from the other one, these things really roar. But it takes the smaller 123 stove. It has a built-in windscreens. Comes with a set of pots. Very nice. 2 of them. But they're too large for the kind of cooking I do. You don't need anything that big. And it has the stepped style fry pan. And that's okay, but once again, it's not the sort of thing that I would really use on a canoe trip. Now down here, I want to show you my very first kit that I bought. Take a look at this. Look at all the piping on that. It looks like a boiler room. This is a Coleman Speedmaster. Okay? Really old stove. But when I got it, it came with a cook kit. That was also a carrying container for the stove, which kind of made it real handy. I took this out on a few canoe trips on the St. Croix River, and it worked out okay. It was a fine little pot. There you go. But it was much too heavy for canoe trips. And once again, you had a lid that can be used as a fry pan, that I never use as a fry pan. I just boiled up big meals in it. Now, down here at the very end, this is the kit that I use all the time. Okay? I have a cook kit for the Coleman Peak stove. I use 2 burners, a big one that I cook pancakes and eggs and that sort of thing on, so I don't get a hot pot, and a smaller burner for boiling. And everything fits inside the case, along with at least 1 gas cartridge. The other thing I take along all the time is this little pot. And this is the cover for a 123 stove. And the cover for it is off a Trangula teapot. And it fits right on there. Now I use this to make my minute rice in. And that's all I use it for, because you need to have a covered pot to make minute rice. And of course the old frying pan, the one you've seen me bang the dents out of. And I like this one because it's got a lot of space to cook in, and it has these high sides, so when I turn it to cook a bannock in front of the fire, it doesn't fall out. Okay, so there in essence is my cook gear. Some of this, of course, gets used on car camping. Some gets used, like this one, for winter hikes. Other ones I'll use when I go on canoe trips where I don't have to worry about the weight. I'm just going into a small lake someplace. And the same with that one. Now, of all the ones that I've got here, if I didn't use my normal kit, which one would I take? Which one would you take?